What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Chris Featherstone here for yet another episode of UnSKripted. Listen, it is Tuesday night. You know what that means. I have some of the biggest, the baddest, the best wrestlers of today and yesteryear, and tonight's no different. You know why tonight's no different? Because this guy, I've interviewed probably, oh goodness, man. Oh, I don't know, probably 300-400 wrestlers. I think I'm at like 16 WWE Hall of Famers now within my careers at of course Sportskeeda and Sports Illustrated. I've been a columnist there. I've been a columnist at Fox Sports. I was a featured columnist at Bleacher Report and a lot of other places, Digital Spy, you name it. I've been in this journalism game for a long time, and I've interviewed a lot of wrestlers. And there's a few people. There's probably about I keep contact with a lot. There's probably about a good solid 7 or 8 people that is like a hot tag ready to just be there and supports the stuff that I have and I've built a good relationship with. This person is one of them. And gave him a call a few weeks ago. He called back. He said, "What's going on?" He said, "Chris Featherstone." Actually, when I answered the phone, he said, "What's going on?" He was actually training. Duh, that's something that he does all the time. He's trained the best. He was training, and he was willing to come on the show tonight. And I've interviewed him many times, and he's always have a wealth of information to share. And I'm looking forward to what he has to share tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He is former WWE Tag Team Champion. I know that he's had some singles runs in Continental Wrestling Federation. He has also had some singles runs in the USWA. But when you think of this guy, you think of the heavenly bodies and the body donnas, ladies and gentlemen. He is the Dr. Tom Prichard. How are you tonight, my man?
Good to see you, Chris. Good to talk to you again. And you too are a doctor, I see. So very good, man.
I'm a shoot doctor. Yes, I am.
Well, who's to say I'm not a shoot doctor?
I don't know. Last time I talked to you.
You mean you already know? I'm sorry. Yeah. we got to think, shoot, but work around here.
Yes,
so
indeed.
Yeah, good deal. All right, I wanted to try that one with you then. That's good.
Look at a miss, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's okay. It's the story of my life.
Well, before we get into these questions, man, what do you got going on? What is new? And I know that you're training, and it's
Yeah.
interesting. Before you plug away, which I definitely want you to do. I was listening. I'm good. I'm friends with Kurt Angle too, and I was listening. I was looking at the Kurt Angle doc, which is fantastic. And you and I have talked before about the people you train, and it was cool to see you and part of that training videos, and you were training Kurt Angle. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. Have you seen the doc yet?
Yeah, I did see it. I saw it. Actually, I saw it the Sunday night when Ric Flair had his last match. I got back to the hotel. Sin Bo D and I went out to eat, and then I got back to the hotel and it was on. So I watched it. Yeah, they do a great job with that stuff, and it was cool seeing some of those pictures and some of the training stuff that we shot back in the studio back in the day. And awesome documentaries, man. But these days, and right now, I just got back about 20 minutes ago, actually, from training. Tonight is JPWA. This is our summer class. We're in week number 7, I believe. Yeah, this is 7. And we have 5 more to go. And that'll be the end of the summer class. And I have 1 class left with 10 weeks in the fall. It's jpwrestlingacademy.com for all information. But yeah, we've been going now. This is our 4th year, which is amazing because it's wrestling school. And the climate, all through the pandemic, we didn't know what was going on, but people kept coming, and it's great. It's awesome. We do 4 sessions a year. So that's all I'm doing. It's a full-time gig, and I'm happy to have it, man. Very, very lucky. Very, very grateful to have it.
Nice. Has there been any other any graduates that we've seen on TV in the past?
Channing Lauren, Ivy Nile is got signed. They came from JPWA, and a lot of our guys are doing independents around here. Some have gone to AEW, and Kenzie Page and Ella Envy are the NWA Tag Team Champions. Kenzie came to train with us. She was in the first class. Her sister Kylie came to train with us just this past year or two. So we've been very fortunate to get some of our guys out there, and a lot of talents come through who was able to learn and listen and pay attention. And the way you really learn this is on the road anyway. So I can just give you the basics. I can give you that stream that you can drink from, but I can't force your head down into it. You've got to actually drink, man. You actually got to want to do it. So yeah, we've had a few people go out, not just here, but other places and get opportunities. So we've been very lucky.
That's fantastic. So for those who don't know what the JP means in JPWA, that's Jacobs Prichard, right?
Yes, Jacobs Prichard Wrestling Academy, and the Jacob stands for Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. Kane, a.k.a. the Knox County Mayor. Again, he just got reelected. So, we've been very fortunate to be on a roll and keep going.
Very nice. All right, you ready to dive into these questions, my man?
I'm always ready, man.
All right. Rorito's asking, what were your original thoughts when you trained Shane, The Rock, and Kurt? Did you think they'd become stars? That's question number 1. And number 2, and what were your original thoughts when they pitched you the idea of the Zip character?
Well, let me just address that first. I hated it and said, no, absolutely not. And then they said, okay, great, and just hung up on me. So then I realized, it's only hair, and I love Chris Candido, but I knew what was going on there, and it just wasn't, never liked it, never got into it, and that's on me. When I was handed something, I didn't make the most of it, but it didn't really resonate with me, and I didn't feel it, and I knew where it was at. It was at that time of life. It was at that period of whatever we were going through, and it wound up the way it wound up. But as far as training Rock, Kane, Kurt, and Shane, how could you not know they were stars? They had that it factor, and they were just extraordinary in their training. Could you ever tell me that they would be one of the biggest stars ever, and then the other guys would achieve as much success? I don't think anybody could have told us that. But it's always good to see, even if you had just that much to do with it, to watch a guy like The Rock do what he did and go from just wrestling to this mega globally known superstar. So yeah, you knew they'd become something special. I knew they'd become something special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Shane, I'm interested in Shane McMahon as far as training him. Now, Shane was, he was a part-time wrestler, but every time he wrestled, he meant something. He put something to it. He put some stank on it as far as some memory to it. What caused him to want to get into the ring and have these matches with like Test and Blackman and Paul White and things like that?
He's got a passion for it. I would say he's insane and he's crazy, but we're all insane and crazy. He had a passion for it. He had a passion. He didn't want to just go out there and have a match. He wanted to try the Van Daminator, and he wanted to try all these things. He wanted to steal the show, and he had the opportunity. So he was going to go out there and do it. It was just in his heart. It was in his head, and that's what separates the great ones from the good ones. They don't know what moderation is. They have to go out and they're not just going to be a match on the card. They're going to steal the show, and that's the drive they had.
So who was against? I heard Vince was. Who was against the spot, the King of the Ring spot, the belly to belly through the glass? Who was against that?
I'm not really sure who was against that. I don't know if anybody was against it. Maybe, look, I know for a fact that people can say to somebody like a Mick Foley or an Undertaker or even a Shane, don't do it, it's too dangerous, and they'll go, okay, you're right, and then go out and do it anyway. Yeah. So whether anybody was against it or not, I think deep in their heart they knew there was nothing they could do to stop it if Shane wanted to do it. Same thing with Mick Foley. I think nobody really knew. I think there was a rumor about he wanted to take a bump off the cage when the Hell in a Cell took place with Taker, and people said, no, don't. It's way too dangerous. And he went, you're right, okay. And then he went out and did it anyway. So people like that you can't stop, no matter what. You really can't. Try as you may. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, case in point, I mean, the first bump that Shane took, with that belly to belly, the glass didn't break, and he took a big thud, down to the ground, and basically just almost shattered his head. He said, "Okay, well, yeah, we're going to break this glass, do it again."
Yeah, because that was the moment. It wasn't just taking there and bouncing off; it had to break. That was the moment. So, and Shane was living for the moment, and he was in that right spot.
Yep. Guillermo's asking, how was working in your opinion, on the WWE show Bite This?
I had a lot of fun on Bite This with Kevin Kelly and a lot of the guys who were in the .com division. I think it was the second floor back then. Had a lot of fun, man. I had an office at that time in Titan Towers, and I would come down the second floor and we'd do the show and hang out and talk, and it was a lot of fun. It really was. Nice. Yeah.
Aaron is asking, what are your memories or stories of working with Stan Lane, Sweet Stan Lane, and Jimmy Del Rey, Juggalo, Jimmy Del Rey as the Heavenly Bodies?
I had a lot of fun with both guys too. Stan was Stan, and Stan had already been through that pioneering stage, and he already been through the travels, and he was coming from North Carolina to Knoxville, which is a pretty good haul for Smoky Mountain, and he had been to bigger and better, and he was getting on with his career. You know what I mean? Because as you get older, and you're trying to redo what you already did, I don't think it held the same appeal to him. And Jimmy Del Rey, I think this was really one of the first breaks he got. Yeah. He was excited, he was enthusiastic, and hell of a worker in the ring. So I had a good time with both guys, really did.
Yeah. King of Hueso Mundo is asking, what are your thoughts on Ric Flair's last match and Ric Flair being dehydrated due to his drinking? Those he needs to take it easy.
Those he need to take it. Well, okay. Nobody wanted to see Rick get hurt. Nobody wanted to see that unfold before our eyes. But at the same time, and I thought about it back and forth too. I was on the fence, and I didn't know which way to really. I didn't know how to feel about it in the beginning. because Rick had been through so much personally and professionally, and then I got to thinking, who else could do this but Ric Flair? And who else could, right, wrong, indifferent, good, bad, or whatever you want to call it, for those of us who have done this our whole life or watched wrestling our whole life and have a passion for it, here's Ric Flair. There is only one Ric Flair. When Buddy Rogers was there, he was a nature boy, but Buddy's gone, and Rick picked up the legacy. And I really felt that if that's the way Rick wants to go out, more power to him. 74 years old, 73 years old. I don't know that I know I couldn't do it, but I'm not Ric Flair, so I have no problem with it. Rick wants to die in the ring. He'd prefer that. So you have to. I've come to the conclusion, especially after all the things we've all been through these last few years, do what's going to make you happy, and you can't please everybody, so you might as well please yourself.
Is there ever a time in a pro wrestler's life where his legacy or her legacy becomes tarnished because he or she have overstayed their welcome?
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that way about Rick. I'm sure that people feel about that way about a lot of guys who stayed too long. Lou Thesz wrestling into his late 70s. The Sheik. Kevin Sullivan and I used to say, or Kevin used to say, I want to be wrestling when I'm 65 like the Sheik, Ed Farhat. I thought, no, but Ricky Morton is going to be 66 this year, and he's still going out wrestling and doing that stuff, man, because he looks great. Ricky is one of the best baby faces ever in this business, and he knew how to elicit emotion and get that passion and drama and feeling into it. That's talent, but you have to have that passion. And maybe some people have overstayed their welcome, but when I look at guys like Ricky who go out there and still do Canadian destroyers and still do things that I'm thinking, my God, man, you're taking a chance here, because some of the young guys don't know, and some of the old guys may not remember how to do it. So, I really think that's an individual choice, and people are going to feel the way they feel about it.
Elvis is asking, who is your favorite wrestler from the Golden Era and the Attitude Era, and why?
Well, which part was the Golden Era?
I imagine 80s.
Oh, okay. Well, Terry Funk was my favorite from when I first started, and Terry Funk's remained my favorite. But I've had favorites. I don't know if the Attitude Era, I'd have to say Austin, definitely, because he was a guy, and I knew Steve when he first broke in, and he was a guy who they didn't see it, except he saw it. He knew it. So you got to admire him, and I knew where he came from. And he's a redneck from Texas who likes to drink beer. And, he had long, blonde, stringy hair, and he had the biker shorts and an imitation Ric Flair robe. That wasn't Steve. He wasn't stunning Steve. He was always stone cold. He just had to find that. So he's definitely one of the guys I really enjoyed watching and respected a lot.
Nice. Mike is asking, do you think Ahmed Johnson should have had a bigger spot in the WWE?
Well, I don't know that he didn't have a pretty good spot when he first came in. But as I've told,
Intercontinental Champion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad gig. So he also had to understand, I think, as everybody finds out one way or another, I found out the hard way, it's not necessarily what we do in the ring that matters. It really is, what you do backstage. How are you perceived? How are you interpreted? What kind of vibes are you sending out? So I thought he got a pretty good opportunity and pretty good spot, but then you find out he didn't like the way things were running creatively in the back. Did he have ideas? I don't know. I liked Ahmed. I got along with Ahmed. I traveled with Ahmed a couple times. But attitude, I think, means everything. It really does. Yeah.
That's true. I remember watching back then as a fan, and to me, it was just a big derail when he became heel. I wasn't a fan of it. I know that he got injured and things like that, and then they threw him in the an angle with Taker, and then the Nation gimmick, and joining the Nation. It was just it kind of was all over the place at that time. I think he was a steady baby face, and he was just kind of being shot to the moon, which I loved at that time. But
Right.
working at that. What were your thoughts on that as far as Ahmed's career after that and turning heel?
Well, once again, from my perspective, and only being around what I was around during that time, and hearing the stories, it's a business, and you don't always get what you want, and you don't always get what you deserve, but you get what you negotiate, and you get what you manipulate and have people believe you're worth something more than what you probably might be worth. But it works. It's a two-way street. You got to work with the top guys, but the top guys got to want to work with you too. And if you have this attitude that everything is wrong and you should have a bigger push than you're getting, instead of showing that you should have a bigger push than you're getting, manipulating and understanding the work is backstage. It's getting the guys who want to do business with you, go in and talk to the powers that be, and until you have that gravitas, you need those people to talk for you.
Yeah.
Then it ain't going to work. And Ahmed, I think, had a different view of that and felt he might have been held down by people and might have been dissed, like when The Rock came in and Rock kind of took over. Well, that was a no-brainer, because if you saw the two and you watched the two coexist back in the back, and you saw the difference in and the reality in the attitude and the talent, then you could see it. But Ahmed, I think, as a lot of guys do, think they were more important than they actually were at that time.
Was Taker ever reluctant to work with him?
I really don't know. I don't know if he was or not. But I mean, a lot of people would get hurt. I know he hurt Chris one time. Worked with Chris in San Antonio, if I remember correctly. And it's one of those things. I don't think he did it intentionally. I think it's just an accident. But when those things happen all the time, or sometimes, more times than not, so not really sometimes, it adds up. And I don't know if anybody was, well, actually I do know some people probably were apprehensive, and if Taker got wind that people were getting hurt, he might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just asking, would you induct Brother Love into the Hall of Fame? Your bro.
Yeah, well, I would, but I got news for you. I don't think I'm going to be asked to be anywhere near the Hall of Fame anytime soon. But yeah, I'd love to, sure.
Interesting. Why you say that?
Well, I think times are changing, and I think the people in charge don't really give a damn what I'm doing right now. That's why I say that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You left. You got released in what? 04?
No, I think I got released in 04. Came back in 07, got released in 12.
You were working for FCW, right?
Correct.
Yeah, right before the NXT launch there. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were changes being made, and we'd been there for a while. And I can't explain why I was the way I was, but my bedside manner isn't always the best, and I understood that. But I've never been a really good office or corporate guy. I've accepted that. For a long time, I tried to mold myself into that. But you know what, man? It's a round peg in a square hole, or a square peg in a round hole, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't a comfort thing with me. It wasn't a good fit, I don't think. At least they didn't think so. I thought I was okay doing what I was doing. But it goes back to people want you to be. If they want you to be there, you be there. And if they don't, you won't. So
Or did they feel you were too opinionated or spoke up too much? I mean, what was it that caused a rift?
I'm not really sure. I don't know if it was because I wasn't playing gotcha down in FCW. If somebody had an issue that I thought we could take care of in FCW, I would take care of it in FCW. I wouldn't have to call the office and say, hey, guess what? We got this problem down here. So I would handle problems in FCW or issues in FCW. And I don't know if that was necessarily the only reason, but also when you had people, this was another thing, you had people who would come from the tennis industry or the volleyball industry who knew nothing about wrestling or sports entertainment or WWE, but yet now they have this position of power, and they're going to come into FCW and tell us what they're going to do and talk to the guys like these guys were beneath them. And I always felt, especially anybody coming to developmental, you're earning and you're paying your dues while you're there, and you have to have some sort of empathy and understanding. You know, and the last guy who came in and the lady who came in who had this idea, because either I could be opinionated or I was more thinking about how the boys were feeling, what they were going through, understanding. I wasn't treating people equally. I was treating people fairly in my mind. And there's a difference, because this guy may not have the opportunity to go to the gym because nobody wants to give him a ride. So why? I want to find out why. I don't want to get this guy a ride. I want to get this guy in the mix. I need him to go to the gym. I'm going to handle that here on FCW. What can the people in Stanford do? Well, they can talk to him on the phone, but I think if I can handle it, I'm keeping less problems they have to deal with. That's how I looked at it. But maybe they didn't. And plus, you have your people you want with the new administration. And when the new administration came in, it was already in place that Bill DeMott was going to take over. But nobody said that up front. We found out FCW was going to go to Orlando on the internet. And when I called somebody the next day, they said, "Oh, no. I don't know what that's about. That's not true. That's not happening. You have nothing to worry about." And a week later, of course, they came down and released me. So I get it. That's what it is.
So 10 years later, is there ever a chance, being away from the WWE for 10 years, do you think they bring you back as a coach at all?
Well, it's like Dumb and Dumber. So you say there's a chance, like the 1 in a million. Yeah, I think they have their system in place. I think they know that I had my system in place. I don't really believe that's going to happen, and I'm okay with that. Trust me, I enjoy having my own school. Well, our own school. I enjoy going and doing what I want to do. We've had results. Again, we've had at least 2 people sign with WWE. We've had one with NWA. We've had people all around the independents going up and down around the country, and Florida and up in the Carolinas, Chicago, and all around. So as long as we're getting results and we're getting students, that's great. It'd be great to go back and make the same money and have the same opportunities that we had back then, but the world's kind of changed, and NXT is different in the sense that it's on a national TV show now. You get to see it, everybody gets to see it, and it kind of ruins the mystery when they debut on the main roster, in my opinion. And we kept it separate in Florida. You had a local sports channel that would run FCW, and it was more or less tucked away until you needed them. And I think everybody we sent out, for the most part, did a heck of a job on the main roster. Look at Roman Reigns, look at Seth Rollins. So they came from FCW, they didn't come from NXT.
Good point.
Yeah.
Let's see, a few more here before we close up. Philip is asking, what's your favorite match as one half of the Heavenly Bodies?
Well, I probably have 2. Any match with the Rock and Roll Express, or I think the Steiners at SummerSlam, because that was a pretty good way to debut on a pay-per-view. Nobody really knew who we were. but we came out and I thought we had a pretty solid match thanks to Rick and Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who came out with the baby blue gear?
Baby blue. Oh, the Body Donis?
Yeah.
God, I have no idea. I just knew that's what Chris and Tammy were wearing when we got there, and I thought, oh gosh, please no. Yeah. I've tried to block that out of my life so many times. Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, I remember you in the Heavenly Bodies because I did follow Smoky Mountain back in the day, and I was like, I remember Tom Prichard. I remember Dr. Tom Prichard, and then I saw Zip with the baby blue, and I said, huh.
Yeah, I do too. And I went, huh? This is it, right? Yeah, you're going to smile, you're going to do jumping jacks, what else, man? And I thought, and I knew better. I really did. It's not the direction you're giving us, the direction you take, I think. And I wasn't taking direction because I had blinders on, and I wasn't going to listen. And finally, I just said, I've got to be good because I was bad before, and so.
At least you got a tag title out of it, so, something.
I think that and maybe $25 would buy me a cup at Starbucks. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah. Mike is asking thoughts on the new era of WWE with Triple H.
So far so good. I hope they do great. I really mean that. Hunter's an old school guy. I have no animosity towards anybody. I really don't. You don't know what it's like until you go, and then you get out and you miss it, and then you go, I get it. You're supposed to do what you do, and then it's business and it's corporate. But I think Triple H, I've heard that they've already used terms like wrestling and wrestlers and things like that. So they're making, and belts again. So he's making these changes slowly but surely. It's only been 2 weeks, 1 week, whatever it has. And he's a smart guy. He loves the business. He knows the business. I just don't think the hours will be as insane as they were before. Yeah, because I heard him say somewhere where he goes, he discovered this thing called sleep, and everybody needs it. And he's had health problems earlier, so I think he
died from heart problems. So he really don't have much of a choice. He doesn't want to stress himself out. For sure.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be fine with it, and he's got good people still around him, and I'm looking forward to see what they do. I think it's going to be great.
Nice. All right, lightning round. A couple more real quick. Question: What do you think of CM Punk leaving WWE and his high point in the company, then returning to AEW and his run to become champion?
I think it's great. After 7 years of not being on TV, he came back and made a hell of a debut. Made an impact. So I think it's great. He's obviously a lot more satisfied and happy with what he's doing. Yeah.
We'll close up with this one. King of King Sport is asking, is it true, Tom, you were going to be a real doctor, but you could not pass pharmaceuticals?
That's not true. That is not true whatever. I've passed the pharmaceuticals. I just spent too much time with the pharmacy. That was it. Yeah. Problems. Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm here all week. Hey, try the meal. Tip your waiters and waitresses, please. It's not true.
All right, my man. Let them know one more time. JPWA.
Hey, well, listen. You can go to jpwrestlingacademy.com. Click on the training page. You've got a chance. You can buy my book. It's a curriculum. Gives you some suggestions and ideas for a pro. You're just starting out, whatever. It's a little guideline, so to speak. But it also tells you when we're training next, and our next session is going to be October 3rd through December 9th. It's 10 weeks. That's our fall session. So we're taking applications right now as we speak. Just go to jpwrestlingacademy.com. Give you all the information right there. Thank you so much. Excellent.
Very nice. My man. It's always a pleasure, Tom, man. It's always something to talk about when I talk to you, man. So.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much for having me back, Chris. I appreciate it.
Likewise, man. Have a good night, my man.
You too.